Live 9 tonight. There is already a binding law requiring every state to vet a new weapon before fielding it. Does it already require testing AI weapons? And why isn't it working as yet? That is the point of conversation tonight. For 8 evenings, we've searched for the law that governs autonomous weapons and kept finding gaps. Tonight, I show you a binding legal duty that already exists. It requires a state, before it ever fields a new weapon, to determine whether that weapon can be used lawfully at all. It was written in 1977. Most of the world has ratified it. And tonight's puzzle for each one of you. Does that duty already require every state to test its AI weapons before they reach the battlefield? And here is the harder half. If a binding pre-deployment obligation already exists, why has it not stopped the autonomous weapons we've spent this entire series as yet examining? Is the rule failing, or is it simply not being used? Hold that question. At the end of this presentation, we will resolve it. Before I go on, your instinct in the comments box right now while I'm on live chat during this live premiere. Is there already a binding law that forces states to legally vet a new AI weapon before they deploy it? Yes or no? Type your call. Live chat, drop it. I'll read the room before the reveal, and the answer reframes everything we've built over 8 nights as yet. Good evening and welcome back to the AI Law Daily. Thursdays until Sundays every week at 6 PM CST. And this is my channel, your channel, the AI Law Global Security, AI Risks and Liability. I'm your host, a techno-legal analyst and a registered lawyer, Nupur Mitra. And this is your weekly live analysis at the intersection of artificial intelligence, international law, and the governance gaps, collisions between them. Over 8 evenings, we mapped a complete architecture. Live 8, the accountability gap, no one to hold responsible after an autonomous strike. Live 6, the persistent objector doctrine, how states stay outside an emerging norm. Live 7, the Martin's Clause and 1899 provision already binding them. Live 8, meaningful human control, the load-bearing concept no instrument in force defines. You must watch each one of them. Every one of those episodes pointed at the same missing moment. The moment before a weapon is deployed, when someone should ask, is this lawful? Tonight we examine the one binding obligation that already commands exactly that. It is not new. It is not aspirational. It was adopted in 1977 and most of the world is bound by it. Article 36 of Additional Protocol 1. The weapons review duty. Let us build the architecture from the treaty text itself. Article 36 of Additional Protocol 1 is titled simply New Weapons. It reads, in the study, development, acquisition, or adoption of a new weapon, means, or method of warfare, a high contracting party is under an obligation to determine whether its employment would, in some or all circumstances, be prohibited by this protocol or by any other rule of international law applicable to the high contracting party. Read what that actually demands. Not after a weapon is used, not once harm has occurred. At the stage of study, development, acquisition, or adoption before deployment. A state must determine whether the weapon could be used lawfully. It is preemptive by design. It is the one place in the law of armed conflict where the question, should this exist, is asked before the weapon reaches a human target. And it is not a fringe provision, mind you. As of early 2026, roughly 175 states are party to Additional Protocol 1. The ICRC and SIPRI describe the Article 36 review as, I quote, the SIPRI assessment, the only binding mechanism the international community has to force states to assess whether the employment of these weapons raises humanitarian concerns. The only binding pre-deployment mechanism that exists for autonomous weapons that makes Article 36 not a footnote. It makes it frontline. If this binding preemptive duty already exists, why did it not stop any of the systems we examined as yet? Because the obligation is real, and the machinery to make it bite is almost entirely missing. 3 gaps. First, coverage. Article 36 binds only high contracting parties to Additional Protocol 1. The United States, home to the most advanced military AI on Earth, has never ratified Additional Protocol 1. It conducts weapons reviews as a matter of its own domestic policy, a practice it began in 1974, but it is not bound by the treaty article. Now, many scholars argue the review duty is customary international law, binding on all states regardless of ratification. But that customary status is contested, not settled, and you'll recognize that fault line. It is the persistent objector terrain from Live 6 if you have watched it, and if you haven't, please go back and watch Live 6 for this. Now, second, practice. This is the number that should stop you. Roughly 175 states are legally bound by Article 36, but as of early 2026, only about 17 have provided any public information on how they conduct weapons reviews. Historically, formal review programs have been documented in as few as 9 states. SIPRI's assessment is blunt. Relatively few states are known to regularly conduct legal reviews at all. A binding obligation on 175 states, honored visibly by only a small fraction of them. Third, method. Article 36 says a state must review. It does not say how. There is no prescribed methodology, no required standard of testing, no obligation to share results, and no international body with authority to audit any of it. The ICRC has published a guide. SIPRI has built a compendium, but the treaty itself sets a duty and supplies no machinery. It is once again the pattern of this entire series, a genuine obligation sitting on top of an absent enforcement mechanism. And now, the deepest problem, the one that makes Article 36 strain exactly where we need it most. The duty is to determine whether a weapon's use would be prohibited in some or all circumstances. That phrase assumes something, that you can anticipate how the weapon will behave. For a rifle, a missile, a mine, you can test it and No. For an AI system that learns, you may not. The leading technical legal work here comes from SIPRI, whose 2017 study examined precisely how emerging technologies challenge Article 36 reviews. Reviewing a weapon with autonomous features, they found, demands complex new procedures to test performance and to evaluate the risk of unintended loss of control. And systems that learn after deployment break the model entirely. As one recent analysis of in situ learning systems put it, the central difficulty is anticipating all possible stimuli that could prompt the system to modify its own behavior. A 2026 techno-legal study went further. The learning characteristics of modern AI, it argued, significantly undermine any meaningful review because a system that adapts in the field is no longer the system that was reviewed in the lab. Add the practical questions the scholarship raises. Can reviewers keep timely access to an autonomous system after it is deployed? Can the expertise and resources to test cutting-edge software be made available in the field? The review was designed for a weapon that is fixed at the moment you inspect it. AI is a weapon that keeps changing after you sign off. The one preemptive duty we have was built for a world of static weapons. And autonomy is the first technology that can quietly rewrite itself after the review is complete. Before I resolve this, the vote. We already have a binding duty to vet new weapons before the field. Is that duty enough to govern AI weapons? If states actually used it? Comment 1 if you think a properly enforced Article 36 review could do the job. Comment 2 if you think AI that learns can never be meaningfully reviewed in advance. One word, where do you land? I'm waiting to hear you. So now let's come back to tonight's puzzle. Does a binding pre-deployment duty already require states to vet their AI weapons? The answer, grounded in the treaty text, is yes. For the roughly 175 states party to Additional Protocol 1, and arguably, if the duty is customary for all states, Article 36 already attaches the moment a state studies, develops, acquires, or adopts a new AI weapon. The obligation to ask, is this lawful before it is fielded, is not missing. It is already law. Then why has it not stopped anything? Because a duty is not a mechanism. Article 36 tells states to review. It does not tell them how. It does not make them show their work, and creates no one to check. The most powerful military AI developer has not ratified it. Only a handful of bound states visibly practice it, and the one technology it most urgently needs to catch, the system that learns and changes after deployment, is precisely the one its in some or all circumstances standard was never designed to handle. So, the resolution is the sharpest version of the pattern we've traced for 9 nights until now. The gap in AI weapons governance is not mostly a gap of missing rules. Article 36 exists. The Martens Clause exists. IHL exists. The gap is that the rules we already have lack the machinery, the methodology, the transparency, the enforcement, the technical capacity to actually bind the newest weapons on earth. The law is not absent, it is unequipped, and That is a far more fixable problem than a vacuum, because you do not need a new treaty to enforce a duty that already binds 175 states. You need the will and the machinery to use it. Tonight's takeaway, and the turn the series now takes. For 9 nights, we mapped the gaps where AI outruns the law. And a pattern held from the first night to this one again and again. The problem was not that no rule existed. It was that the rule lacked the machinery to bite. A governance deficit with no enforcement. An accountability gap with no forum. A customary norm states can object away. A clause with no court. A standard with no definition. And now a binding review duty with no method, no transparency, no audit. That reframes the entire project. If the deepest problem were missing law, the answer would be a decade of treaty negotiation we may not have. But if the problem is largely missing machinery, procedures, transparency, technical capacity, the will to use obligations that already bind, then the work is different and more urgent and, of course, more possible. Article 36 is the clearest case. 175 states already owe the duty to vet these weapons before the field. The task is not to invent that obligation. It is to make it real, to demand a shared methodology, public transparency, and reviews robust enough to catch a weapon that learns. The law to govern AI weapons is closer than the headlines suggest. What is missing is not the rule. It is the resolve to operate it. One more thing. My website, thoughtleadinnovate.com/newsletter. That's my mailing list. Join it. 10 minutes or 20 minutes here is the argument. The newsletter is the evidence, the treaty language itself, the primary sources, the citations, all free of cost in your inbox. So please subscribe tonight if you find value in this conversation. So where does this series go next? It turns from mapping the gaps to closing them. The methodologies, the reforms, the people trying to make the law we already have actually work. Tell me in the comments which gap you want confronted first. You help set the agenda now. 6 o'clock Central every night, Thursdays until Sundays. This is my promise. I'll be there. Do you promise the same? If these 3 nights added precision to how you think, do these 3 things. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. The AI Law, Global Security, AI Risks and Liability. And also subscribe to my another channel, AI, Her Rights. 2. Join my mailing list at thoughtleadinnovate.com/newsletter. You may find me also on Substack and LinkedIn. And 3, this is important. Tell me in the comments which gap I should confront next. See you soon. See you in the next.